Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the
Two Dicks, Zero Chicks, and 3 Flicks. You're listening to Fart House Cinema.
So you can tell us not to if you too much free time. We got 3 awesomely terrible movies for you today. We've got Last Man Standing. It's a Bruce Willis movie. We've got Starship Troopers, and we've got Demolition Man.
How do you not love all 3 of these movies?
All 3 of those movies.
If you, again, we say this every time, but if you haven't seen any of these movies, number 1, don't listen to the podcast because it's going to be spoilers. And number 2, go see all of these movies.
So really what you're saying is that this podcast is generally going to be a 6-hour endeavor because they have to watch all 3 of the movies.
Listen, if they've got the time to listen to the podcast, they've got time to watch movies.
Well, yeah,
There's
I
no
mean,
question.
you know. But yeah, we got 3 cool movies, so stick around and we'll definitely, we'll try and make you laugh.
We'll make you laugh, even if either with us or at us. Your preference.
So the first movie we're doing today on the docket.
I thought we agreed. We agreed.
I said
not
you
to.
couldn't say it.
Oh, what a dick.
The first movie on the docket is a movie called Last Man Standing. This is a Bruce Willis movie. It's a Western and it's a noir movie.
97? Was it 97?
96,
96.
actually.
7 was Troopers, actually.
Yes.
We'll get there.
I saw this movie when I was probably too young. I had a really, really terrible babysitter. I'll give Mike 5 seconds to make some jokes.
Pedophilia and butt stuff. Go on.
Butt stuff. Kidnapping. But this movie is actually really good. But not necessarily for the right reasons. And I think that's
why it's perfect for us, frankly. But okay, so in grand summation, if you haven't seen the film, which again, if you haven't seen it, go see it. Which is we gotta.
You can't go see it. You have to rent it.
Well, I mean, go download it, rent it, yeah, whatever, find a way. But so long story short, it's actually based on an Akira Kurosawa film called Yojimbo, which is a story of like a wandering Ronin, aka like a lone gunman, a lone samurai.
So it's not like a story about New York where some guy just goes, "Yo, Jimbo."
That's awful. You should feel ashamed of yourself.
No, I will not.
All right.
I will not.
So long story short, it's this wandering samurai who kind of finds himself in this old town or this village where there's 2 rival gangs competing for control of the village, and it's basically a lawless gang town. At the time he reaches it, though, of course, there's a truce. And so it's kind of just everything. The gangs are in control of everything, and it's up to him to kind of exploit them for his own personal gain. If you can't stand a black and white Japanese film, it was actually also a Clint Eastwood film called For a Few Dollars More, or Fistful of Dollars is another one.
Well, there's a trilogy of those movies.
Yeah, it follows the same character actually. If I'm not mistaken. But for A Few Dollars More, which is the '65 film, the Kurosawa film '61 actually, but basically the exact same story. But we're talking about this one. And this one's way better because it's got Bruce Willis in it.
Prohibition era, which is a cool era for movies. Very untapped.
You know what? The best part of this movie is it creates a sort of unique hybrid between like Western film and noir film.
I love movies that are narrated by a character in the movie.
And Willis.
Well, yeah, and it's Bruce Willis. This movie to me is actually a lot of Hatfields and McCoys as well.
I agree, right? Like the cowboy warring states.
They're literally across the fucking street from each other.
Which is, I mean, amazing considering the amount of bullets that get tossed around totally aimlessly.
And there's no broken windows. I want to point that out. I actually watched this movie a second time.
They have like the front office, but the windows don't break. He just shoots through them, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's got 45 bullets in his gun.
Yeah, 45 bullets in each gun. Then they automatically reload when there's no enemies in front of him.
He's got cheats on, apparently.
Yeah, definitely. That's fucking guns made in fucking classic video game era. It's clearly side-scrolling, shoot 'em up, no stop, no question.
Contra. He's playing
Contra, exactly. That's what I was looking for. So likening it back just briefly to the Kurosawa factor, the things that I love about this film are that the same scenes are shared both in For a Few Dollars More and in Yojimbo, which is at the very, very beginning of the movie where he picks his path based on the whiskey bottle.
That was very cool.
But it's the same thing the samurai does.
Yeah, he does it with a sword.
Yeah, exactly. The tavern owner befriending him awkwardly. That's the same scene. I
love that actor in Last Man Standing, by the way.
Phenomenal. He does a great job. I love that he also gets to be a badass at the end, but we'll come back to that too in summary. Just a couple other scenes that I want to just talk about briefly. The crime boss having the love interest, the other guy, like the woman, who serves as a huge plot point, which is great. Doyle's girl, essentially. The mortician, who's loving the fact that he's living in a gang-ridden town because there's just corpses nonstop.
Oh, that dude's lapping it up.
He's loving it. And then
he's got Bruce Willis has a good line about that too, where he said something about I don't know if he's thanking me for the business or measuring me to something.
Sizing me up for my own casting.
Yeah.
And then, it's just great. Like, it follows the formula so well, but it's still interesting and new because of this Western noir hybrid. Even in like the interrogation scene, the revenge scene, watching the big showdown amidst both families, it's just great. I won't keep toting all the scenes of the movie. Suffice to say, like I said, the story is him exploiting these two families, and he does a really, really good job. And it's just so stylish. It's got that mobster noir element.
It's awesome. It's a lot of like he does things and then narrates him doing those things, which I love, man. That whole noir narrative thing, that's one of my favorite things in movies ever.
It's just stylistically, it resonates really, really well. And again, like the dust and the grime, like the tumbleweed, the Western era,
There's literally tumbleweeds.
It's solid. It's great. The Mexican border closest. This game's got a lot of Red Dead Redemption subtext to it. It works really.
You mean
really
film, right? You said game.
I was thinking about the game when I was talking. It was a bit Freudian, but you know what I mean. So, things that stand out for you, things that you like, don't like, besides the guns. Do we want to talk about
we'll
it?
talk about the guns also. Ironically, for a Fart House episode, there's no egregious hair in this movie.
Well, there's not much hair.
There's not much hair, yeah.
He pulls it off.
He's got that weird fucking hipster haircut, though. But,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. I mean, you've kind of got
You can't watch a single movie without finding
No!
with somebody's hair.
We'll get there with another one of our movies, too.
You're
but
excited.
I am. No, the biggest thing I want to talk about this movie, Christopher Walken is in it, which every other time I've ever seen him in a movie, I'm jacked about it.
Oh, menacing, terrifying, resonates with you the whole
He's like
film.
shifty and he's fucking weird. In this movie, he could have been played by anybody.
In defense of Walken, for the first 3/4 of this film, all you hear about, like for the first half of this film, you just hear about him the whole time. You hear legends about this guy Hickey.
Yeah,
He
but like
shows
going to
up,
jail when he was like 9.
burns down an orphanage,
Yeah.
all this crazy shit. He got like scarred up, cut up, etc., etc. In the third act of the film, when they go down to Mexico, he just wrecks the whole place. Doesn't care. He does this unique, like, maybe you're the kind of guy to shoot a guy in the back. That's not a Walken impression. That's just whatever. And it builds up to what's supposed to be this incredible standoff between him and Willis.
So fucking anticlimactic.
It's
like buying a girl drinks all night. You're going shot for shot. You go home, whatever. You can't do it. That's all that
you just
is.
end up throwing up on each other. It's
Yeah,
terrible.
well,
Unless you're into that.
whatever. Wow, this isn't Germany, so let's not.
Scheisse. I'm totally with you because like he's rocking the Tommy gun, which I'm all about. I love the Tommy
yeah.
gun, and it works with Walken's character. He's this tall.
He's wiry.
menacing-
He's fucking
terrifying.
creepy. Does he have a scar on his face too?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, because
it's the 30s and there wasn't healthcare.
Just the whole movie's dripping with so much mobster attitude. I mean, like the Strozzi family is like your Italian style family. It's where like Willis starts working for them right off the bat. They have the Italian dinner.
Yeah, there's the big meal, very Goodfellas.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a, like I said, it's just an overlap between a good Western flip and a mobster movie, and it's just done so right. I mean, the way he rolls into town and the way that like Doyle's crew messes up his car, and then he immediately proceeds.
The whole movie is based on him having to wait for his car to be fixed.
Yeah. Oh, but then, like I said, they mess with him, and then he blows them away. But again, like it's the first 10 minutes of the film where he starts killing people, and he walks into that room, and he's like, he gets into standoff with this guy, and he's like, I guess I'm gonna have to kill you, and he's like, you wouldn't like it, it's gonna hurt, and it's a really cheeseball line, and then he proceeds to pull out his magically enchanted bottomless guns and unloads like 100 bullets. And in this first conflict scene, you see the guy that he shoots do like 2 somersaulting backflips across the road.
Everybody he shoots is apparently 7 pounds.
And his bullets are clearly like they might as well be giant boxing gloves.
Yeah, he's hitting him with a howitzer, apparently.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about this for a second. I mean, Mike and I, we both play a lot of video games. We know enough about guns.
There's slight military background that we're not boasting about.
Yeah,
but we've been
I mean,
around firearms
you know.
enough times.
We know enough about it growing up in this generation, if you will, to know that a .45 caliber Colt handgun does not hold, as far as I'm aware, 50 bullets each.
Even listen, before we even get to the debate about what the guns may be, whether or not they're Colt 1911s, whether they're 1944, whatever they're supposed to be, it doesn't matter. The important thing is countless scenes in this movie. He just goes ham. He just goes nuts. There's just bullets coming out.
It's like
of his
he
gun.
entered like rage mode or something.
It's like he's got like a drum-barreled machine gun in each hand, and he just unloads with these
like
things.
Rambo with the
The scene. So there's as the story progresses, like I mentioned earlier, there's like the love interest. So Doyle's got this girl. I guess he like kidnapped her from Mexico. She used to be a Yunkai Indian or one of the Indians. And I mean, he's totally like head over heels for this girl. And of course, she's like a human hostage. But there's the classic scene where, like in the
More
Kurosawa
hostage
film,
talk, by the way,
exactly,
on the Fart House
that
podcast.
means there's an erection in the room, guys. Stand down. But in the scene where he goes into the house to rescue her, he just pulls out his guns and just shoots like 9 dudes before half of them can move. He must fire like 100 bullets. Like
Honestly,
100 bullets.
and they're all egregiously loud too.
Oh, and it's totally unnecessary. Like, it's not like he's shooting center. Like, he's just firing like a madman. And the only time he reloads is after he's shot like 12 to 13 people, and there's a calm point. He manages to reload comfortably, and then he just does it again. Like, it's just totally wonderful and totally needless.
So you know what this reminded me of? Did you ever go see like one of those like Western shows at like Canada's Wonderland or
yeah,
anything?
absolutely.
That's what this entire movie reminded me of.
Oh, but it's so much more stylish.
Well,
it's
yeah.
So much, it's a guilty pleasure.
There wasn't even squibs on these people. There was barely any blood in this movie.
It's because they blew all their budget on the blanks for the guns so they could just keep firing needlessly.
There was, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that this was not a bloody movie. No?
There's not a lot of gore.
No.
I mean, there's a lot of murder.
But there should be for the amount of times he shot people.
I mean, you gotta remember the era, right? Like, this was like we're talking 90s. That was when the gore was kind of coming out to a good point, but they weren't going as like crazy with it as they are now. I mean, the fact that you could have a movie where he kills, like, the death count in this movie has got to be.
I read it somewhere online. It's upwards of like 60 people.
Yeah, at least easy, right? And I mean, it's got so many arbitrary and fun scenes. You get to see him in a naked shootout when he has.
That was cool, not in a gay way.
Whatever. Bruce Willis has got a nice butt. I'm comfortable with my sexuality. I can say it.
He's a nice looking man.
You know what I liked it? It likened me a lot to Shoot 'Em Up, the scene where they're doing it and then he has to suddenly get into the gunfight. Not as much because he's not.
Also, Eastern Promises. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
Well, he's just naked in the bathhouse, right? Or is there a shootout when he's naked in that? I have seen.
No, he's fighting some
That
guy.
bathhouse scene is unreal.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
But I mean, all in all, like, so here's my stance on Last Man Standing. This film is ridiculous. Like, it's an absolute ridiculous film.
But there's no reason not to watch it. You're gonna like it.
And it's stylistically, it lands in such a great sweet spot between, like I said, like old school mobster noir film and Western that you're just like, this is great. I want more of this. It's amazing. And it follows.
Absolutely.
It follows the Yojimbo and for a few dollars more storyline. It's absolutely a classic. It's great. It's wonderful. The narration. This is just me being too much of a Sin City fan, but it's full blown Hardigan. When you hear Bruce Willis narrate anything, all I can think of is Hardigan. That's
Absolutely.
it, nonstop.
And then I start. Here's my train of thought on that. Is I agree with you. I thought of Sin City immediately also, and then I started thinking about Sin City 2 and just wanted to kill myself.
I refuse to acknowledge the existence of Sin City 2, so I have no.
Oh,
comment.
we're first threeing Star Wars. Okay,
We're not. I'm not. It's not.
It's Phantom Menace.
It went straight to DVD, and it should have gone straight into the garbage.
It didn't go straight to DVD. You can see it in the
No,
theater.
it did. Shh. No. We don't talk about Sin City 2. I wanted so much from Sin City 2.
We all did.
All right, but grand summation of the movie. He plays the families against each other for a while. Things go really, really well. He gets too big for his britches. It ends up coming down on him. He rescues the girl. There's some. I mean, the scenes that stand out the most to me, I love when they go down to Mexico at any point. It's really, really great because it breaks up the style.
Old
of the
Mexico.
town. Oh yeah, the party, like the Dia de los Muertos, the festival when the convoy gets jacked. Like, there's so many great scenes about it, and it's just different gang warfare struggle. You get to see kind of how Bruce Willis isn't a good guy either, because you see the people that get.
He's a real anti-hero in this movie.
Like, he's like Ronin, right? That it comes right back
Absolutely.
to the Kurosawa film. He's
The
not
whole
a
thing
good
is
guy.
very samurai.
Yeah.
It's also a lot of Kung Fu The Legend Continues, where he spends his whole life going into town saying he doesn't want any trouble, and then just kills fucking everyone.
I'm gonna say, yeah, like he doesn't start it, but he certainly doesn't help his case at all.
All right, so the last thing I want to say on this movie, I like it a lot. I've liked it since I was a kid. Action movies like this are the reason I like movies so much. I mean, my taste has gotten a little bit different, but I will always have a place in my heart for these kind of movies. The one thing I've never liked about this movie is that the ending for it, the final showdown between Walken and Willis,
It's such an anticlimax.
It's fucking erectile dysfunction.
It's beyond the drinking all night at the bar. It's you and this girl.
It's coming too fast. That's what that movie is.
It's just you're. Oh, I'm sorry. Please don't.
That
tell your
never
friends.
happens.
Yeah, you're just too attractive. That's all that is. They build it up so much, and everything's all said and done, and Doyle and Hickey roll through Strozzi and the other team. They burn their clubhouse to the ground. They kill all of them. It's the big climax, and again, it's right out of Yojimbo. It's right out of For a Few Dollars More. And then at the very, very end, like, what I love, because it resonates with you, is Doyle is totally
a wreck of a human being. He's trying to say, like, we did it. We can control. We can take the town. And, you know, John Hardigan, a.k.a. Bruce Willis, knows the marshal's going to be shutting everything down. And all it has to be is this bloody standoff between him, Hickey, and Doyle. And then the shopkeeper just decides to go full-blown Chuck Norris
Oh my
on Doyle and just blows him away. He rolls across the ground, proving that it's not just Willis's guns that are overpowered. And then it sets the stage for this climax between Hickey and Bruce Willis. This climax that's been foreshadowed, that's been blowing in your ear lightly about how good it's going to be. And then he pulls the same stunt that he already did in Mexico, where he's like, maybe you're the kind of guy to shoot a dude in the back. And he turns his back on Bruce Willis. And there's a part of me where I wish Hickey just walked away, because it would be the story of two samurai. The subtext would be that Hickey was kind of like the first Willis who came into town and stayed with it, right? It would be kind of neat. But instead he goes for a gun. Willis blows him away in like 2 bullets. And then he just drives off into the sunset. Now, it's a great ending for Willis.
Absolutely.
And I like it. And it's great for the samurai factor, but it's like Hickey was totally not essential.
He could be played by anybody and didn't need to be there.
I have nothing else to say about the film other than I love Kurosawa films. If you enjoy for a few dollars more, if you enjoyed for the Last Man Standing, go and see Yojimbo. Personally, if you can't stand black and white, go see for a few dollars more.
That movie is absolutely, if you love film, if you like feudal Japan, if you like anything like that, go see that movie. That movie is very, very good. So is Last Man Standing. I like this movie a lot, and I totally recommend it.
It's the same story told 3 different ways, and all 3 of them are good. Go see this film. If you haven't seen this film, see this film, and that's
it. I give it, like, I'm not going to give it a rating system.
I'm going to give it 650 bullets out of a 3-round mag.
Yeah, I agree. I'll give it a howitzer out of a 38.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good movie.
Film number 2, Demolition Man. I know you've heard of it. I know you love it. If you haven't seen this, like, we told this every time.
And if you're a woman listening to this podcast, your boyfriend loves this movie.
There's no
or
one,
you have a girlfriend.
And she loves this movie because she's the man of your relationship, or not.
And whatever.
So this movie follows the secret love romance between John Spartan and Simon Phoenix, aka
Stallone and Snipes.
Stallone and Snipes, and it's just so good. Snipes is a bad guy I absolutely love, but long and short of it is, this movie follows the plot of these two as they find themselves first in a
Also,
dystopian...
both really good gay porn names.
Oh my God! Wesley Snipes and Stallone alone have really good porn names as their actor names, but John Spartan and Simon Phoenix, like, clearly.
And what's the other guy too?
Raymond Cocteau.
Well, there's that one, but there's also
Edgar Friendly. Every male character in this movie has a porn name. But so our movie, it opens with a dystopian LA set in 1996, in which Simon Phoenix is basically like in South Central LA running things. It's just a wreck of a place. It's fire. It's just, like I said, it's Fallout. It's Fallout 3 in Harlem essentially, and our main villain and our main hero get involved in this like struggle of trying to take one and the other down. Long story short, things fall apart. They both get isolated into what's called like a cryo prison, and 36 years pass. Leading into the future, both of them are then freed in the future, and the world's a completely different place. And you follow them in this bizarre adventure where they're 2 men completely out of their time, and they're basically become a superhero and a supervillain in what's otherwise a normal world. This is, in fact, also another great example of a comic book movie, if you really think about it. You have this guy with like superpowers that are completely unaccounted for, and you have John Spartan, who by comparison to every other man has superpowers, but really isn't that superpowered. But essentially it's super cop versus supervillain in a world of complete like fascist, dehumanizing control, and humans made way too soft by a desire to make the world better.
It's the pussification of America, essentially.
Let me just so in 2032, gasoline, swearing, salt, meat, uneducational toys, physical contact, and a whole bunch of other stuff is banned because it results in like violent instincts and negative emotional content. But jumping back briefly to the intro to this movie, which is a badass beret Stallone in a helicopter talking about how he's got to take this dude down. And for the record, Stallone, this super cop, his nickname is the Demolition Man because he just blows shit up. There's footage of him on file. He saved a girl from like terrorists in a mall that was worth like...
Yeah, the news clip for that made me laugh.
So
they
good.
set it up so soon in the movie.
Oh.
Can you justify blowing up a mini mall for saving a girl?
Fuck you, lady. Like, it's so good. It's so. But again, I want to come back to this because I personally want to put on the record the examination of whether or not John Spartan is a good cop.
He's not.
We'll talk. We'll come back to it. But
He's
suffice
Paul
to say,
Blart, essentially.
it's just he's like there's a scene where he fucking attacks a civilian for no reason, and it's completely okay, and no one talks about it. And I want to talk about it, but let's talk about the intro. Okay, the first 2 minutes into this film, you know you're in for one of the most ridiculous movies you're going to see because his dynamic entry, his super badass entry into the combat zone is bungee jumping off of a fucking helicopter. That's a real thing. His tactical entry and him wearing a beret, which no one does in a combat setting. But
Other than Stallone in other movies.
fuck! It's just it's cliffhanger and every other ridiculous role. I love it. I love action movies. I love Stallone action movies. But again, he bungee jumps out of a helicopter onto the roof of this building, starts taking all these dudes out in this crazy badass over the top thing. And just as a side note, this is how much I love Demolition Man. The dystopian LA of 1996 alone could be a great setting for a movie. It's basically Escape from LA.
Which is a great movie.
We'll come back to it. But that's the whole first part of this movie. Stallone fights Snipes, who, by the way, the intro to Snipes' character, the intro to Simon Phoenix, is he's doing coke and pouring gasoline in a room that Stallone walks into, and he's basically like, come fuck with me. Let's fight. Let's play. Let's fucking throw down.
With the blowtorch and the cigarette and the whatever. Great movie. But the best part of that, too, is eventually he does light it on fire. And all Stallone does is...
drops his gun. He drops his gun.
He drops his gun, and he does this little hop, skip, and a jump. It's not even dramatic or like a run through the fire. He does this really kind of gay, like, up in the air, like, little hop over. Like,
It's a little skip. He does a little skip through.
like when you're excited to get home and watch a movie, you do like that hop up to your last...
When you see a millipede and you know that bugs don't scare you, but something with a lot of legs, so you kind of half jump and move away. That's what it is. And he drops his gun for reasons that I can't fathom, and then they have to fist fight. But he's standing in a pool of gasoline that's like 20 feet wide, and he's like, oh, it's on fire. I better just move slightly. Okay. All right.
Oh my God.
Sure.
I don't want to get my beret soaked in fire. Like,
I will say, like, there's one defining moment in this fight scene, and it's there's two actually. One is it cold in here? Is it just me? Which comes back at the end of the movie, which is great. And the second is Simon Phoenix at some point while they're fighting and wrestling says, "If it wasn't attached, I'm sure I'd lose my head." Remember this line. Comes back into play later. But suffice to say, Stallone tries to get his man, tries to take him down. Shit falls apart. The whole building explodes, but they make it out. That Phoenix gets arrested.
there's that whole, like, watch your head, like,
Yeah.
the whole, like, wrestling him into the custody of the cops. And, of course, Simon Phoenix in true, which you'll learn, true Simon Phoenix fashion, is, like, resisting and, like, wiggling his way out.
Laughing and having a good time.
We get it. You're maniacal.
Oh, well, I mean, again, they do a great job. I
You're
think.
wearing parachute pants for the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Well, the fashion, this movie stylistically, like, this is one of those, like, the plot is ridiculous. There's so many weird holes and things that don't make any sense, and if you examine it from a logical perspective,
Which you shouldn't, and I know you won't because you're listening to us.
It does not hold up to logical scrutiny.
No.
But the things this movie does right, the humor, the throwbacks, the references, and the fashion, the style, the choices it makes are unreal. All the renegade futuristic clothing, all like the underground futuristic clothing, like Simon Phoenix's outfits while looking like a ridiculous Dennis the Menace clone, in fact, pulls out, like, when he comes back later with this crazy, like, Road Warrior-esque garb, like, it's wicked. You can't help but love this movie for its art choice and its style direction. And again, when you start looking at things like her office. When we get into her office and you're looking at, like, the nostalgia factor.
Her apartment.
Like Lenina Huxley. No, her office specifically. She's got the Lethal Weapon posters on her wall. She
does,
a
that's
junkie
true.
from the 20th
And
century.
I think that Stallone is gay for all the other action stars in his era because, well, number one, Expendables 1, 2, 3. But even in this movie, they make Terminator jokes. They make Rambo jokes. They make...
Schwarzenegger Presidential Library.
They do. They make all of those, which is weird because Schwarzenegger had no inklings in government in 1996. Or 1993.
They predicted it, man. Demolition.
That's
Man, the
crazy.
future.
Illuminati, that's all I'm saying.
666.
I want to get something out of the way really quickly, and please write in, and then I'll send you a picture of my dick with a note attached to it that says, suck it.
It'll be a post-it note.
I fucking hate Sandra Bullock.
Love her in this movie.
No.
Oh, we have to complain about this. Go on. You say what you gotta say.
No. She's so fucking ditzy and dumb and like, oh, I don't know what to do. We get it. That, again, is another example of somebody who could be played by fucking anybody. She didn't need to be there. America's Sweetheart? No. She fucking sucks. I think Jesse James was right. I think she's terrible.
Whenever you're done.
I fucking hate her in this role.
I share your sentiment. I hate Sandra Bullock. I don't like her in any movie. I don't want to watch The Heat. Miss Congeniality.
The Heat is the one I'll allow.
Regardless, I love her in this movie.
I
love her in this movie.
I want to express that I am visibly angry and we are shouting in a room full of nobody else.
I can't. It's at the rubber room, the padded wall.
Yeah, actually, do we even have a mic? Is this even a podcast?
Lenina Huxley, her playing a bubbly idiot who's in love with the 20th century, this do-gooder, and having her be the only one who's actually got redeeming qualities in the face of otherwise
she's just playing Sandra Bullock.
Oh, I love
she's
it.
She's not
I love
acting.
it.
Stop.
I can't help it. I think it's the perfect. It's of all the movies I've seen her in, it's the only one that I can watch.
Friendship over.
I can't help it. I think she's great. I think she does a great job.
No.
I'm sorry. I have to agree to disagree. I mean, on the plus side, if you think she's an idiot, then she's finally filling the role to a T.
Oh, you fucking infidel. Ugh. She's terrible in this movie.
We really licked their ass, John Spartan. That kills me. It's so good. The jokes are such cheeseball shit, but it's so nice.
Can we? Okay, so there is one line in this movie that resonates with both of us.
Can I present this?
Yes, you can.
And this is something I want to talk about too before we get to the one line. At the beginning of the movie, there's two characters. All right, there's the warden and the pilot. So the warden in the prison, who's like an assistant warden at the time, and he's the one that condemns John Spartan to like the ice cells. And then there's the pilot who actually flies him in. Both of those characters are actually in the movie 36 years later out of the cryo prison. The pilot at the time is the black cop that John Spartan is talking to in the office. We'll get back to this. And the warden is the one that Lenina Huxley's talking to, and he gets his eye cut out, which is a totally wicked scene. But moving forward, the scene is John Spartan and this pilot, this former friend of his, are talking. They're swearing at each other. And Lenina Huxley's talking to her co-cop, and he's like, wow, they sure are swearing at each other. And she's like, well, if you read my notes in the 20th century, you would get a good understanding for why they swear so much. That's how insecure heterosexual males bonded in the 20th century. This is why Spencer and I have a podcast. This is the foundation of our friendship. Two insecure males brandishing insults, bonding with each other, the weird, awkward sexual tension at the subtext of it. You can cut it with a knife. You can cut it with a knife.
Yeah, this is what Mike and I do to each other. Before there was a podcast, there was the two of us shouting across an office.
That's still that. It's just we do
There's
a podcast
still that. We
now.
also do this over like a weird internet messenger that our work uses.
Slack? We're talking about Slack now? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's mostly, we don't care about that. We'll yell shit.
We're competing to argue about whatever we argue about and to see who can get fired first. I think that's our unwritten competition.
And just annoying those around us.
Yeah. Oh, something I did want to talk about. The word damn.
Your latent homosexuality?
You projecting your secret wants onto me, you mean? Anyways, moving forward, the word damn is not accredited. Yeah, thank you, Matt. That's our first of two references to Matt. We're going to be talking about Starship Troopers in a bit, but I want to digress just briefly on this. The word damn is a swear word that Simon Phoenix does not get charged for at the beginning of the movie, but John Spartan gets charged for later.
That's reverse profiling.
Yeah,
this is the world I don't want to live in.
What is that? What happened?
My ancestors worked for a very long time for white privilege, and this dystopian future.
You need to stop.
Although that was all for the purpose of humor, so get your fucking liberal shit out of the knot. That was a joke.
Right on. The other weird story, I probably should have summarized this at the beginning. The other follow-up, like the subplot to this movie, outside of the love interest between John Spartan and Simon Phoenix, is that the mastermind of the newly reformed 20th century is a man named Simon Cocteau, who's basically got everyone is microchipped, everything is banned, everyone is nice, friendly, happy, joy feelings, everyone's enhancing their calm. But what he's done is he's trying to put a stop to the rebels, like the true American heroes, which is where Dennis Leary comes in as Edgar Friendly, who has one of the best rants in this movie, nonstop. That the only thing that stands on my mind is if I want to run down the street covered in naked buckets of cheese, smoking Cuban cigars the size of coffee tables, and I'll do it.
Okay. So I wrote this down. One of the only notes I actually wrote down from this movie, because I've seen it so many fucking times. One of the only notes I wrote down for this movie is that scene was essentially the director was like, "Hey Dennis, you want to do 5 minutes of stand-up?
5 minutes of your routine."
Yeah, that's all he did. That's it, and it was awesome.
It's the intro to the I'm an Asshole song.
Yeah, exactly. Which should be the theme song of this podcast.
Pretty good, yeah.
I think so.
That's fair. We'll talk. We'll have to have our legal team talk to
Right, yeah, we have a team.
Mike Garrett.
Mike
Garrett's lawyers. Moving forward.
They're cheap, what can I say?
I think this is another fantastic video game movie, and if you have any doubts about that,
You have
Comic
to
book
look
movie or video game movie?
both. Why not? Right? I mean,
Okay.
it's a nerd movie either way, which you have to know if you watch it because it's like a sci-fi comedy over the top with references to action movies left.
Very
right, and
Fifth
center.
Element, actually, in a way too.
I agree. Less sci-fi oriented.
Okay.
But I'm with you because it's the elements of sci-fi in this movie are more subtle, but then there's totally gaping plot holes. They have computers and cars that can drive themselves, but no one has guns. Also, talking about guns, you get this movie when you get exposed to Edgar Friendly and his rebels, the guys trying to overthrow all the pussified Americans, if you will. What you end up finding out is that they have guns but don't use them. But the good guys don't have guns and can't handle violence. Like the concept of these guys being able to repel Dennis Leary's forces is so asinine.
They shouldn't be able to.
It's so absurd. It doesn't make any sense. It's
They shouldn't
just
be able
huge,
to.
Huge thing. There's no explanation. They don't make it clear. It's just a big hole.
The analogy that I have for that whole scenario, the rebels have guns, the police don't, it's the Harlem Globetrotters playing any other team. In theory, they should be able to just dance around them.
Yeah, it'd be.
But they don't!
The only thing I can think of is that maybe they're the result of the pussification too, and then they've gone.
Maybe they're too
underground.
scared to do anything. I don't know. That and Dennis Leary as a character is actually kind of an idiot. And he says in the movie he doesn't want
He's
to
not a
lead
leader.
them.
Yeah, people just follow him. So doing a bad job.
Yeah.
Ratburger, great scene.
Good scene, good scene.
They go underground, finally get some beef.
The idea that Taco Bell is the surviving franchise, which
You
is
gotta love it. You gotta
I
love it.
don't. I mean, because I think if anything's going to
love it.
survive, it's probably going to be
Money's on what? McDonald's?
Wendy's.
Silent killer? I don't know, man. McDonald's is. I got the numbers game. I think McDonald's would win the fast food.
That's fair.
race.
I mean, in Canada, it's definitely going to be Timmy's.
Yeah, well, they're getting bought out though, so we'll see
Burger
what
King.
happens. Burger King. So Burger King might be the silent victor.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm the only person I know who likes Taco Bell.
I like Taco Bell a lot.
I'm just not the person I become after.
Nobody around me likes
Nobody in a mile radius.
Taco Bell, the only food you rent.
Going back to the video game analogy briefly, so again, Cocteau is another ridiculous character randomly, not only because of his name, but like he masterminds and orchestrates the whole thing. He defrosts Simon Phoenix, trains him to be a killer, and utilizes him as a hitman to take out Dennis Leary's character. Of course, it doesn't work because the Demolition Man is on the job to save the day. Except it's the most convoluted and absurd plan around because Phoenix ends up convincing him to let a bunch of his other friends go, and then 3/4 of the way through the movie, Spartan realizes that Cocteau's up to no good and has documented proof that he's up to no good, and nothing gets done. Then Phoenix kills Cocteau using one of his henchmen, and then it's just the story. Like, this is why I say it's a subplot, because the Dennis Leary Cocteau thing pretty much amounts to nothing before the Demolition Man has to go and fight Phoenix in the cryo cells. Which, by the way, ending the movie basically where it starts is such a great way to tie it all back together. You go to the jail, you fight, like you have them wake up in the jail 36 years after in the 2032. You have them go through the whole movie, and then they end there with Simon Phoenix trying to wake up a bunch of people, and he even talks about waking up Jeffrey Dahmer, which I know you love.
Which, technically, he was dead when this movie came out, if I'm not mistaken.
I definitely incarcerated. I think he might have been dead at this point. I didn't look into
Probably.
that, but I know that was a great reference.
Good reference. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. There was also something where there's like this weird complex that Phoenix's character had where he was like, I need all these people brought out of cryo prison, but I don't want any killer types. I want to be the only one.
Yeah.
I thought that was weird and kind of a useless thing.
I mean, I like the idea of Simon Phoenix because throughout the whole movie, like, everything he does seems kind of irrational and insane and wacky.
Then you realize he doesn't know why he's doing half these
Well, yeah,
things.
and not only that, but like it's insane. Like it's like you're not supposed to be able to find logic in it, and I think he does a good job. It's the same with like there's a line he drops at some point in the movie where he's like, I've been dreaming about killing you for 40 years,
Hasn't been in prison for 40 years.
36 years. It doesn't make sense.
Unless they knew each other beforehand, but
That's 4 years. John Spartan couldn't.
he
the
did
Demolition
say at the
Man-
beginning of the movie, he said, I've been chasing this guy for 4 years.
I guess so. So there's a gap that fills it in.
I fucking found it.
There it is. Look at that, movie scientists. Anyways, final battle in the prison.
Super cool.
The laser, they fight, the lines come back out. This is like the big crucial thing for me is when Spartan shows up and everything, like Phoenix's laser gun doesn't work and they get into the fist fight.
Like,
And it's
again,
so
there's
cool.
like the loss of a gun for
Yeah.
no reason.
But it's great because it mimics the first scene as well, right?
Absolutely.
And then you have, is it cold in here? Is it just me? Phoenix loves it. And then the best is, at the very, very end, Phoenix wins the fight. In my mind,
Worst
he's the winner
CGI of all
the fight.
time, possibly. This scene.
Snowpiercer, strong
I was
contender.
just gonna bring
strong
this up.
contender. But so Phoenix wins the fight in my mindset. And right before he's about to kill Spartan, Spartan grabs one of the ice rods, which is what they use to freeze all the prisoners, and then somehow has the time and the means to hit it on the floor, freeze everything, get up and run away before Phoenix can kill him, which doesn't make sense. But the best is that he freezes him whole, jumps up onto this weird spinning, rotating
And
thing,
hits
which
him
is
with
just
a
there.
pipe.
No, he kicks his head off.
Is that what he does?
Kicks his head right off of his body, and it's great because it foreshadows from the if my head wasn't attached. It's beautiful. I love it. This movie is awful, but it's so fun. 3 decapitated frozen corpses out of 3.
3 rat burgers out of 5.
Oh, delicious. It's rata. I love it. There's not, like I said, the outside of just the sheer action, the tones, the art style, the music, the fact that everything is jingles, but the music itself. I love that Simon Phoenix has his own theme song, his own music that plays when he's doing weird shit. I don't know if you caught that at all.
I
throughout
did,
it.
yeah.
He's got that weird like siren noise. It's almost like headphones. It's great. I love it.
So I want to say this about Taco Bell. I just thought of this now. There's no fucking way Taco Bell... And this is a fucking PSA is what this is. So I'm going to... Hold on. Give me a second to get on the soapbox. There's no way that you're going to be the surviving franchise. You can't stay open past fucking midnight. Stay open the same hours as the rest of the people. Maybe I could buy you surviving. You're good and I like you, but when I want you at 11:30 at night, you're not fucking open.
Let's be honest. They probably only won out because they paid more money than anybody else.
Well, maybe.
But I mean, I like again, realistically... I
And
think
nobody's
McDonald's-
even high anymore at this dystopian future. So what's the point of Taco Bell?
Again, we gotta. I don't know how much time we got left. We gotta talk about sex. Sex in the future. Robot helmet cyber sex.
Still more sex than I'm having. So
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, is masturbation illegal? You're not. Is physical contact with you like? What if you like?
how much
So many-
would we get fined if masturbation was...
Dude, how much would we could find for swearing?
Oh my god.
3 seashells. Love it as a concept. Don't understand.
They
how it
never
works.
explain it, which
it's
is
the best.
awesome.
Ambiguous 3 seashells, and the scene where Spartan rolls back up to the swearing device and swears a bunch just to get toilet paper. Defining moments. The film is a masterpiece. I feel like my review has just been all over the place because it's just fun. This movie's all over the place.
Again, this is another one of those movies that this era of movie is what made me love movies. And
Artistic merits.
there isn't any.
Again, I still think if you extract yourself from the plot, look
Wesley
at
Snipes is wearing a crop top. There is no artistic...
suspenders, and he's got Dennis Rodman looking hair. It's ridiculous. Again, but like I love the sets. I love
Agreed.
the art style. I love that they create this totally depressing fascist universe. I love that it's so hopeful and optimistic in the face of, in my opinion, what is actually more fascist and depressing than the world of Starship Troopers. This is a movie that literally has, you're not allowed to fucking do anything, and there's even, like, there's so many points where it's like, well, what do you think? And it's like, I try not to. Like, it is such a depressing universe, and the best is when it's all said and done, everything's gone up in flames, you have Dennis Leary and his band of incompetent idiot rebels that just want to fuck everything and eat all the cheese they can, and you have all these soft, pussified Americans, and Stallone's basically like, I'm gonna go have sex with Lena Huxley, you guys figure it out.
And then he
Peace.
does the old, like, dip her down
Yeah.
and give her a big old...
And the credits roll after she grabs him and kisses him too, and it's just like, oh, and also honorable mention to he's like, what do you mean people don't do sex anymore? You know, I mean boning, the wild mamba, the hunka chunka. It's ridiculous. I love it. I
Yeah.
love this film.
I love it, man. I watched this movie twice in, 2 days? We had a date set up to do this podcast, and we both kind of had to bail. But I watched this movie twice in 48 hours, and I ain't even mad.
I'm gonna watch this again in my lifetime numerous times.
Probably.
There's no question. All 3 of these movies are movies that are on my top 100
I
list
call
of
it my
lists.
sick list.
Well, again, the theme of this podcast for sure has been awful movies that are totally
we love.
delightful and wonderful. I
Absolutely.
think like guilty pleasure movies again, really, because you can't help it's as far as art goes, you cannot. It's so hard to make an appealing argument for it. But as far as entertainment goes, these movies are right in that 90s sweet spot. I love it. Enough
Absolutely.
said.
Go see it, watch it, steal it. Go to an Asian variety store. Maybe they still have a copy behind the counter. Something. Go see it. Find it. Fucking find it and watch it.
Do it.